Good morning, everybody. How are we all today? And welcome to our event. We focus now on virtual events and LinkedIn Live today. Very excited to be here. My name is John Bowles. I'm the co-founder of Untitled Media, and we are exclusive partners to LinkedIn Marketing Solutions in Sub-Saharan Africa. And it's our job to kind of educate you on LinkedIn's platform, LinkedIn's new products. And boy, are we excited about this event today, because on the line today, we've got Ryan Holy. He's from LinkedIn, sitting in London, not quite as locked down as some of us in Africa. He can get out at least whenever he wants. Ryan is Senior Partner Manager for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, and it's his job to look after the likes of Turn Left Media. He supports South Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, as well as has the task of looking after Portugal. He looks after North Africa, and finally Italy. So he's had his fair share of understanding the impact of COVID-19 and as we roll into a new world of working. Rylan later on is going to tell us something in true LinkedIn spirit that's not on his LinkedIn profile, Rylan, so just start preparing for that. And he's going to be finishing up, and we're then going to hand over to Marius Kreef, my co-founder at Turn Left Media. Marius has been working with LinkedIn one way or another for almost 10 years now. So he's a product specialist, and we actually are teasing him a lot about being an event specialist or a wannabe event person. So he speaks with great passion about particularly these new products that we're rolling out and you guys are going to be using. Just a bit of housekeeping. Please sign into slido.com and use the hashtag virtual events May. I think we saw it on the opening slide. I'll just repeat that: virtual events May. That is important because we want to get your Q&A into that session. There'll be some polls, and you can kind of feed all your questions there from that side. But that's a good way to interact with the team, and we can deal with those questions when required. Also, please give us a little hashtag shout out there at Turn Left Media, as well as virtual events, just so we can get this one trending and cracking on out there. We'll have, I think, a hard finish at 11. We'll leave about 15 minutes for question time at about 11:15, so that you folks can get into the polls and the questions. And hopefully we get you all product knowledge up. The next point I want to raise is just as a background to this event. I think we're all excited about these new products, but they come from somewhere. And the reasons we're in this situation right now, we're in a remote working environment. We're dealing with all sorts of new challenges. LinkedIn actually did a survey in March 2020 just asking about remote work. And even back then, as the world moved to remote work, there were questions being asked in a survey, and almost over 50%, close to 60% of respondents said that they are reported that their companies are implementing virtual events as a result of this outbreak. So we're going to see this grow and grow. And we also see that people are going to move to a more permanent shift of working from home. So although we're used to working in and going to conferences and dealing with professionals that can handle this, it doesn't have to be a huge challenge. And hopefully after this session, you'll learn some good tips on how to run virtual events on LinkedIn. LinkedIn in South Africa has 7.9 million members now when we checked yesterday. 36 million on the continent, and 690 million members worldwide. So it's a big play, and hopefully part of your media consideration. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Rylan, who's going to take it from here. Folks, enjoy the session, and don't forget slido.com to put in that virtual events May hashtag to join and put in your Q&As there. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, John. And it's a pleasure to be here once again with everyone from Turn Left Media. And I think we've got quite a global audience on this one. I see some of my former colleagues have joined as well, and some of my present colleagues too. So hi, everyone. I'm Rylan, based in London, and I'm the Senior Partner Manager and lead our LinkedIn Marketing Solutions across Italy, Portugal, and Africa, as John has kindly shared. So what's not on my LinkedIn profile? I'll pick a slightly different one today because, one of the things that we are probably taking advantage of at the moment is delivery. And once in my life, I worked for a great takeaway place called Subway. So I've formerly been a sandwich artist, or sandwich artiste, as you might like to say. And that was great. Someone actually did comment once from the States when she tried one of my sandwiches. I did this once at university in Durham, and she said it was the best one she'd had, and it was great. So I was very happy that I got that praise, considering all the sandwiches are the same around the world. So that's what I've been, a sandwich artiste. That's not on my LinkedIn profile, but super excited to share with you today a little bit around LinkedIn events and live. And John has already set the scene a little bit. What's great, actually, I noticed one of my former colleagues from a legal industry that I used to work in is on the line, Michelle Rees, and she really, it puts me back to that time when I was working as a digital client-side digital marketer in the legal industry, and thinking about how important events were to that firm and driving these kind of things at the moment, like being able to foster the customer experience. So we were able to bring people in together to strengthen relationships, and we would create demand by sharing thought leadership and engaging with prospects, specifically, I think, around that kind of mid-funnel area of the marketing, and also drive advocacy. So people would come to these events and also talk about it with their colleagues and so forth. And it was, I think, in the legal industry, on any B2B organization, these are key. And actually, webinars are the way that people are also doing this. And what we also know with webinars as well is that as we're moving to this being the more usual way of conducting events, I think it's going to be ever important, because we see that 76% of B2B buyers have used webinars in the past 12 months to make a purchase decision. I mean, it's a huge amount of that. And even in the past, when I've been a buyer, I've definitely attended webinars where I've actually made decisions based on those, or at least influenced the decision. And we also know that as an audience, it's one of the most engaging ways to capture an audience. So when we look at this here, we actually know, even with webinars, actually, that in particular that are run on LinkedIn, like this one is, we actually have an average audience viewing time of around 57 minutes. And that's quite astonishing when you consider how little time the average professional will engage with your other marketing content. Even a captivating blog or a social media post, for example, will only really hold your prospects and customers for really just a few minutes. Our attention spans are very small, so it's been amazing to see this kind of traction we're getting. And already marketers have been putting webinars as a tactic for their content marketing strategies. I think I asked the question in the events group, in the events page of this page on LinkedIn. So, do feel free to go and answer that poll. And I think most people are already considering virtual events. The other thing as well is that professionals from a range of industries are relying on webinars for marketing, customer training, education, and corp comms. There's a huge range of use cases now that we're finding, and more coming as we're going through this rise of virtual events given the crisis. And what we can see here, I think, is kind of unsurprising that software and technology is leading the pack here in terms of the industry that's producing the most webinars. Financial services, education as well, doing great stuff as well. And I know we're working with several education bodies in across Africa at the moment with virtual events. And the other thing that I find interesting is, as we look at this, it will be interesting to see how this changes over the next few months or 6 months or however long, as all this transformation is happening, and see if this actually becomes much more of a kind of a block instead of this diagram here of more equality across the organizations that are doing this. I'm going to be really interested to see how the likes of retail and real estate start to take on board virtual events as you're looking to display products differently and so forth. So I'm actually very interested in the B2C area to see if this also plays out in a different way. I think government is super interesting, especially when you're considering all the press briefings that are happening at the moment. A lot of governments have taken to online platforms to stream those live as an event. And you look at in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa is doing regular streamings, as is our government here. We had a daily show basically in the UK from our government at 4 or 5, and it's going to be interesting. And healthcare too, obviously, as we see these things change. So really now it's a time to integrate webinars and virtual events into your content marketing and build a robust strategy to drive greater business results. I think in terms of strategy, we'll talk a bit more about that at the end in conversation with me and Marius, and also please do go to Slido and add your thoughts and questions and comments. But when we think about why hosting virtual events on LinkedIn, so virtual events, is a really powerful way to build your community and share information that can help inspire, but most importantly, at scale on LinkedIn. So one of the things that I'm sure you know about LinkedIn, we're the world's largest professional network and professional community. And so with LinkedIn events, you'll be able to maximize your reach across this large community. You'll be able to bring your brand to life and strengthen relationships with those target audiences, just like you would, in a similar way as you would with physical events as you move to these virtual. And also create an inclusive and active community, and you can regularly engage audiences. And we'll talk a little bit about that regularity in a little bit with some examples that we've seen from some of the companies that are using LinkedIn events. So the first part of this is LinkedIn events itself. So this is an organic product that has been released, and we pivoted pretty fast around this. It's been around for a while. Initially, it was just for LinkedIn profiles, but we actually changed that. I've been so impressed with how these things have changed so fast at LinkedIn, considering the scale of our platform. And we now have this beta available to 100% of pages. And, again, it's about being able to take those events from being physical to virtual, and you can have a gated platform there, and we'll talk a bit more detail around what exactly this looks like. One of the key things is being able to create a bit more exclusivity as well, so you can invite only certain contacts and people, and we'll come into this. So this has been released across all pages. So if you have a LinkedIn page, you can go and create an event. In tandem with this, what has been happening at LinkedIn has been we've been running LinkedIn Live. So LinkedIn Live is the fastest growing content type on the platform. We've got 7 times more reactions on LinkedIn live streams versus native video. It's quite amazing to see that. We've got 24 times more comments on LinkedIn live streams versus native video. And also, actually, our members prefer seeing live streams from brands to regular social posts. They're really getting a lot of traction across LinkedIn members. So what's happened, though, is whilst this has been running, this beta, what we realized is that actually this is really important to connect these two together, LinkedIn events and LinkedIn Live. So what we launched, and we're super excited to have done this so far, is an integration between the two. And it enables you to host, attract, and engage the right professionals before, during, and after events using LinkedIn Live, okay? So this is the beta at the moment, and it's really exciting, and I'm so excited that we're running this webinar using LinkedIn Live and LinkedIn Events, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. This is the first stage as well. There's a lot of more exciting things to come, and just some of the key features that I want to highlight that's part of this first release of this kind of very large scale beta is, every event will now have a unique URL, so that can be shared, and that's important, and I'll talk about that why when it comes to promoting the event. You can create both public and private events. You can stream live directly from the event, and all events are listed on your page as well for maximum discoverability. I don't know if you know this, but you can also now discover relevant events in your My Network tab. So the My Network tab on LinkedIn, if you're on your phone looking at this, is at the bottom of the screen, and it's the 2 people basically. So that's the My Network tab, and you can see that a bit more easily on your LinkedIn desktop. And you can discover other events which are happening. It's definitely worth having a look. There's loads going on now, and you can easily share new events with your page followers. So later this year, we're going to be launching a new event ad format to help you promote your event and boost registration. And we're also building an integration with lead generation forms so that you can collect leads directly from your LinkedIn event by gating it with a lead gen form. And we'll create a seamless sign-up experience for your prospects. So another thing we're going to do as well, which I'm sure everyone is really excited about, is that we'll be enabling you to retarget attendees post-event with additional content. So I think that's going to be super cool when that arrives. But we can already, though, promote these events post, during, and after, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. So I'm going to take you through these very basic steps and talk a little bit how this kind of would work from your end. And then what's exciting, from point 3, Marius will take over, and he's actually also going to show you a live demo of what this would look like. So prepare, firstly, to gain access to LinkedIn Live and test, okay? So as discussed, LinkedIn Live is still in beta at the moment. And what we can share here is that you do need to apply for LinkedIn Live first. And now this, just to be clear, is for LinkedIn pages. And we don't have a process ready for profiles. So you will need to go through the process for applying for a LinkedIn profile, access to Live. The team is working on that at the moment. And just to be clear, the reason why we're doing this kind of process at the moment is that we want to make sure our members have a fantastic experience on LinkedIn and they're getting valuable content. So what I really recommend doing is ensuring that you are there's no hard and fast rule who's going to get onto LinkedIn Live, but what I would say is make sure that if you are sharing regular content, you've got a good following, also that you are posting native video onto your LinkedIn Live platform. It will really help you in your application process. And if you're streaming anywhere else as well, that's brilliant too. So do reach out to us, or in particular to your reps from Turn Left Media, or if you're joining from anywhere else in the world, speak to your LinkedIn representative, and we can help you with this process. But there is a form which you can fill in. So you can QR this code and join and put in your application there. It will be great to see more of you using LinkedIn Live, of course, and I highly recommend doing it. As you can see with Turn Left Media, it's working out really well. So the next thing is that you will need to select a third-party broadcast tool. Okay, so these are tools which will be able to allow you to stream. You can't stream directly from LinkedIn, if that makes sense. You need to use a third-party tool. Now, what we'll do after this is share with you a matrix of the LinkedIn third-party tools that are available. And I think we'll let Marius talk a little bit around the one that we're using today, which is called StreamYard. They all have different variety of capabilities. Some will be able to allow you to geo-target, for example. There are different pricing packages. Some are freemium solutions, so you can get going for free. It's definitely worth taking a look at this. And we'll share that with you. You also want to run a test stream, and so you can use this using the likes of Wirecast or Switcher Studio, where there's a draft mode, or you can work with our team here at Turn Left Media to look at setting up a test page and so forth. Now, before we go into a bit more detail, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the LinkedIn Live events that have worked and some of the great examples we're seeing. And I think it's just worth sharing this. You're thinking about some ideas in terms of this kind of what can be achieved from the biggest scale through to more niche events. And one of my favorite examples is from the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. And caveat here, disclaimer here, obviously LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft and we're a part of the Microsoft family. But I think Satya is such a inspirational leader. And what he did at the Inspire conference, which is Microsoft's flagship partner conference, is actually stream the event live, his keynote. So he brought the audience, the LinkedIn audience, to the stage, and they could hear firsthand about what is technologically possible with Microsoft, and also share the important strategic insights that they have with their partners at Microsoft. So while the keynote speech was actually also live streamed to other platforms, LinkedIn Live, we generated the highest engagement and views in comparison. So it really shows you how engaged our professional community is. Another great example of live streaming comes from an event by Digitas. And while they live streamed, So they actually live streamed their annual New Front conference, a Digitas New Front conference. And their audience was able to learn about the latest digital in digital video programming from some of the biggest names in entertainment and news, as well as hear from new leading edge content creators as well. So a little bit more smaller audience in that sense, but they were able to generate a lot of interaction there. Now, some of the best examples I've seen across the continent, actually, one of my favorite is from ABSA, just an absolutely fantastic example of LinkedIn Live. And what they were showing here actually was two things. Firstly, it was providing they streamed their annual results of ABSA on LinkedIn Live, and it was really amazing to see this happen. And also, it was the first time, I think, it was a sort of semi-introduction of ABSA's new CEO as well. I think, I hope the ABSA team found this, a great way to share, but, they did get some good interaction and really good views as well, as you can see here. And actually, one of the things you can do, you can actually see this still on their profile, on their company page. We have also released something called the videos tab, which I'm sure you've seen on company pages. So go back and check this out. On their page. It's a really great example of how to do this and get to our professional audience. Another great one is from the University of Pretoria, where they've been doing virtual events to engage with alumni. Actually, one of my favorite people on LinkedIn Live, I hope he's tuning in, actually, is Stuart from LinkedIn. He's from LTS, my counterpart there, and LinkedIn Talent Solutions, and he's brilliant on LinkedIn Live. Fantastic, advocate for doing business well, and for LinkedIn across Africa as well. This is a great way to get into that community, though, what University of Pretoria are doing, and actually focus on career advice and conversations through that network. So you're creating that kind of exclusivity there. Now, actually talking of talent, some other really great examples here is Cisco. In terms of how they're using this for talent branding, and they showcased here a panel of their talent team and employees on what it's like to work for Cisco, and how you can land your dream job and why they love working there. Another one then is with Thrive Global, and their CEO Ariana Huffington, who did an AMA, or Ask Me Anything, and this is around communicating effectively in the workplace. So they took questions from the audience, including tips on giving feedback and receiving feedback. And because they were actually getting questions from the audience, they really got some challenging and thoughtful questions. Now, a bit more sort of marketing focused here, or even in sales focus in some ways. Two great examples. One is Gong.io, who have sales solutions, sales software in SaaS. They actually every week, every Thursday, stream sales best practices, and they take questions from the audience. So they have this consistency of this event happening every week, and again, that's sort of driving that consumer or member behavior to remember that happening. The other thing is another one is Pendo.io, and they host a weekly live show as well, and they look at trending topics from their product-focused audience and answer questions live. So this is a bit more technical. And also, we really like how they promoted series in a blog post as well to drive awareness and interest. So those are some examples of what you can do with LinkedIn Live. But let's go into creating your event. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here because Marius is actually going to show you how this actually works live. I'm sure he's dreading doing a live demo, but it's all part and parcel of the fun. And so firstly is to create an event, you need to go to your admin section of LinkedIn. You do need to be an admin to create one, okay? And we are looking at potentially bringing in other layers of roles and responsibilities within the organization of LinkedIn to be able to have. You don't need to be an admin, but if you're not an admin, speak with your page admin for LinkedIn and work with them to create the event. It's in the admin tools, as you can see. You need to be filling in all the details now. I think Marius will take you through what is important in terms of what's the required information, and this is it's a fairly standard process, which I'm sure many of you know. Then you'll want to share this page, share the event to your page followers as well. So you can actually target that post, obviously, by language, location, function, seniority, industry, and company size. You can also share it into groups and so forth. It really helps that you do have this unique URL, so you can actually share it externally off LinkedIn as well. And then you can view the event page itself. So as I'm sure you've seen on the LinkedIn events page, you've got the main body of the content in the middle, which gives you the details, and on the right is where you can invite your connections as well. And then you can invite your connections to the page, to the event, of course. And right now, it's the page admin can invite your connections to this, and also you as an attendee can then share that with your connections as well. Post a promo video on the event feed, and also this will notify all attendees. So we have something called recommended by organizer. So you can, my post, for example, on the LinkedIn event can be recommended by the organizer, who would be someone like Marius, and that would notify all the attendees about that post. So you can do this within the event page. And then also you can see all the events listed in the admin view in the bottom right there of your page. And then what will happen is the attendees will receive nudges beforehand, 1 week, 3 days, and 30 minutes before the event. And you'll also receive an event nudge from the admin as well. And I'm sure you just got your nudge on the app as well. And also you'll be able to see conversations in the event with other attendees as well. And thank you for the people who have taken the time to interact with my post as well. I feel I should have put a poll up about my own self haircut, which I managed, my COVID cut, which I did last week, which I've ended up with some kind of strange flume on top of my head. But it was maybe I'll put that as a follow up poll on there and get your thoughts on it, whether I should have done it or not. I left it to nature. So that's me. I'm going to hand over to Marius now, and here we go.
Hey everybody, Rylan, thank you so much for that amazing introduction and for taking us through the initial first steps. It's a pretty exciting time. I think LinkedIn has done a lot of improvements in a very, very short amount of time to get the product to where it is today. And I'm very happy that we get to use the actual technology to do the session today. We always believe in in eating our own food. So, doing the things we talk about with our clients. So, the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you the process of creating your own LinkedIn Live event. And it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you do this, when you test anything live on screen. So, bear with me. Now, there are two ways that you can create LinkedIn events. The first one is directly from your news feed, and the second one is when you go into the actual product page itself. So when you go into your own page. Now, on your left-hand rail on the news feed, when you scroll down, you're going to see that your events are actually listed down below. You're going to see there's a little plus sign, and you're going to click on that plus arrow, and it's going to give you the ability to create the event. Now, there's a couple of key things that we always recommend you do, and a couple of compulsory items. The first one is just focusing around the actual banner imagery. Now, when you go and upload that image, it generally recommends a 4:1 ratio. So what that means, if you've got a graphic designer, if you need to brief this in, if you create a banner that is 800 in width, then it needs to be 200 in height, or if it's 1,600 pixels in width, it needs to be 400 in height. So just that 4:1 ratio. You can choose however big the size is. The minimum or the maximum size that you can go to is up to 10 meg. And we generally recommend that you try and get as close to that as possible. just because it makes the quality in terms of what people can see a whole lot better. So we're going to actually go and create a real event now. So at the end of June, on the 25th, we're going to be hosting our next LinkedIn Live session with a lady called Jennifer Bunting. So we're going to go and we're going to actually create a live event now that we're going to keep afterwards. So the first thing I've done is I've loaded our header image. And we're going to be using, we've used the call to action, we've used her details. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to add in our logo. So this is if you have specific event imagery that you like to use. So some companies create specific events. Last year or the year before, we had the LinkedIn Indaba. So if we create a specific brand theme or a specific event logo, we use that. Compulsory, you then go and you add in the event name. So for this one, we are going to be using the fundamentals of advertising on LinkedIn. Sorry, fundamental strategies of video on LinkedIn. Okay, the organizer. So for most people, you're only going to have one organizer on screen. Then you choose whether it's a live event or not. So LinkedIn obviously can host physical events that you can invite your attendees to, or you can host virtual events. In this case, it's going to be an online event. So we've ticked yes. It's going to give you the broadcast link. So if you use other streaming elements like BlueJeans, other webinar tools, On24, for example, you can go and you can copy in your live broadcasting link into that space. We're going to be using LinkedIn Live, so we actually don't have to copy in anything else. We're going to add in the date. So the date is going to be the 25th, and it is going to be at 1400. For 1 hour, we go and we specify the time zone. And now it's really important you go and you add in the description as well. And luckily, I've typed out all of this description beforehand. So I'll just copy that in. It gives me the description beforehand. You can choose to have a ticketing website or not. So if you use something like Eventbrite, for example, or any other version of this, you add in your destination URL there. We don't, because we're going to direct people to the LinkedIn page. And you can choose to make the event either public or private. So public, anybody on LinkedIn can see the event, anybody can join. When it's a private event, it's only available to people with the event link, and you can choose whether you want those attendees to be able to invite their connections or not. But in our case, we're going to make a public event. And now we click create. So it will go and it will create that event for us on our page. And now we can go and we can share this to anybody. So again, luckily we've gone and we've written a little bit of copy beforehand. And we can just go and we can copy that text in. It talks a little bit about what the event is going to be about, who's going to be speaking. And again, I always recommend when you go and create these events, the reason why we do this on LinkedIn is because of the virality of the social platforms. So make sure that you copy in the individuals. Sorry, I need to just connect with Jennifer. So make sure that you copy in the individuals and the businesses that you're going to be speaking to or that you're going to be engaging in. So in this case, we've got LinkedIn Marketing Solutions here. We've got everybody. I'll go and tag in Jennifer after this. But now we've got the post and I can post it and share it, and it goes to all of our events. And there is our event created. So you can see the details. I can now go and I can invite my connections to the event, as Rylan has said. So if I click invite, it will show my connections. I can then go and filter. So maybe I just want to choose people in the marketing and advertising industry that I want to invite. So once I click on that link, it will filter my search results to only those individuals, and I can then select them and invite them. and we can start a conversation or a post on this particular topic as well. So in this case, we can ask, do you use a video for your social media strategy? You can go and you can create a poll. So polls are also now live on LinkedIn. They're available for individuals and they're available for businesses as well. So do you use video in your social media strategy? Yes, no, or we can add other tell small. Okay, and we can run this poll for 2 weeks. And now we've gone and we've posted our first comment within the actual event as well. So we can start generating awareness and we can start generating engagement in this actual event. And that is literally all you need in order to set up an event live on LinkedIn. So now you've set up the event, you have done your LinkedIn Live application, you've connected everything, and you're ready to start going. So now we actually are going to be starting the stream. And the first thing you need to think about is you need to go and you need to select the event in the third-party streaming tool that you're going to use. So there's obviously a variety of tools: Wirecast, Switcher Studio, Restream. For this particular event, we're using a tool called StreamYard. We found it just to be the simplest tool, and the branding options are pretty easy. But what we'll do is we'll go and we'll connect all of our social elements to the event when we set up the broadcast in StreamYard. So at the moment, we're streaming this live to Facebook and YouTube and on LinkedIn. 5 minutes before the event, we'll go into the StreamYard studio. We'll connect the event and we'll switch it live. And we've got a holding slide that just helps us get the event going so that people get a notification before we actually start and it's running. Then the broadcast goes live and we can go and we can check that it's functioning properly. We can see that it's running in our stream. So we've got another screen that's running concurrently so we can see the broadcast. And we can see that our attendees have also been notified that the event has gone live. The reason why we know that is the moment that the event goes live, all of our attendees will have received a push notification either to their mobiles or to their desktops, wherever they might be in the LinkedIn ecosystem at the moment. And they click on that notification and it immediately pushes them into the LinkedIn live stream. It's also important, really important to make sure that you engage on the live stream as a page. So as a moderator, I can go in and I can engage with the brand and I can go look at the comments that are happening at the moment. And just a super pro tip, for individuals, it's different, but for businesses, it's really important to get another person or another 2 people to help you moderate and produce the session. So nobody can see her at the moment, but we've got Sam on the StreamYard broadcast as well. So she's busy posting at the moment. She's moderating the comments. The moment a question is posted, she's putting it into our private chat for us at the moment. So she's orchestrating all of this for us, which means it's a lot easier for me to just go and to engage with the people that are on the stream at the moment. And she manages the technical details, which is fantastic. So I'm going to share with you a little example of how we set this up in StreamYard. And obviously, it's going to be completely different depending on the broadcasting tool that you use. But hopefully, this will be a good example for you on how to do this. So the first thing you want to do is once you've gone and you've created an account on your broadcasting tool, you obviously want to make sure that you connect your destinations. So YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you connect your destination to the actual broadcasting tool. So for most of this, you will have to have admin rights on the platform. And in order to do this on LinkedIn, it's really important. You have to be one of the 3 admins that have actually gotten access to LinkedIn Live. So when you do the initial application, the system or the application is going to ask you for the URLs of 3 admins on the company page. So only those 3 admins will have access to that, to the LinkedIn Live functionality. So make sure that those are people that don't mind connecting their profiles to other broadcasting tools. If you work with a production house or a producer, then try and add that producer on as a admin onto the page. So when you need to use the streaming facilities or the broadcasting facilities, that person can use their login details. And anyway, we're now in StreamYard. This is our broadcasting tool. I've obviously gone and I've added a whole bunch of destinations at the moment. But should I need to add a new one, I can just go and I can click add a destination. It gives me the options. I can either go and I can add a LinkedIn page or I can add a LinkedIn event. So in this case, we're going to go and we're going to add this LinkedIn event that we have just created. So for this event, I'm going to click LinkedIn event. It's going to give me a whole bunch of hoops that we need to jump through at the moment just to make sure that the person who's adding this event or who's signing up to this destination actually has access. So it goes through this double verification process. And then it gets to the stage where you can actually go and you can add the event. So I'm just going to go, I've taken the URL out of this event that we've just created, and I'm going to go and I'm going to add it into the event now. I'm going to go and I'm just going to say what the event is, what the name of the event is. And we're going to stream it from a page. So depending on whether you have access from a personal profile perspective or from a page perspective, it will give you different options. We're going to stream this from the page perspective, and I'm going to grant it my permission. And now we've gone and we've added this as a new destination. So now I've connected the actual LinkedIn event to my broadcasting tool. I can now go and I can create a new broadcast. I can go and I can find the actual event. So in this case, it's going to be the fundamental strategies of video on LinkedIn. I can select that. I can select that we're also going to stream to Facebook and to YouTube at the same time. I can add my title. And now I can go and I can create my broadcast. And that broadcast has now been created. So once that's ready, the day of the actual event, I can then go in, I can enter my details, and I can enter the broadcast studio. So that is really as complicated as it is. Now, after the event, it's really important. You spent so much time developing the content, getting the panelists and the moderator on board, developing the slides. You want to make sure that you use the event and you use the content as effectively as possible. So after the event, make sure that you actually go in and you see how it went. So what was the analytics? How many people were on the event concurrently? How many people were in each of your destinations? Go look at the comments. What were the questions that people were asking? What were the elements that people were concerned about? Was the video quality okay? So make sure that you check all of the events so you can use those learnings for future events. Also make sure that you repurpose this content. So this is a great example of using one piece of content and continuously using it. So once this event is done today, we're going to go in and we're going to edit it. So we're going to add in a little bit of a jingle beforehand. We're going to save this onto our LinkedIn page as a post, which means that it's going to go into our LinkedIn videos tab, which has also recently been launched. We're also going to go and we're going to create 3 or 4 quotes or 3 or 4 sound bites from this, and we can use that in our marketing activity over the next month to drive people to go and repurpose or see this content again. And the next time anybody sends us a mail or sends anybody on our team a mail saying, I want to start on LinkedIn Live, or I want to start on LinkedIn events. How do I do that? We can just say, well, listen, there's a great video that you can watch that explains everything. Now, as Rylan mentioned, in the next quarter, in the next element of the LinkedIn deployment, LinkedIn will be releasing specific marketing tools that will help us promote our events. But in the meantime, we want to use the tools that are available to help us extend our reach. And it's really a great way because it helps us to reach professionals beyond our first degree network and email network, and reach people that are generally hard to reach or who are key decision makers. So as you saw in the demo, when I created this event, I was able to, as an admin on that event page, I was able to invite all of my first degree connections. But let's say I want to invite marketing and advertising professionals across South Africa, or we're breaking into new ground. We want to actually go and we want to invite people in Botswana or in Namibia or in Kenya and Nigeria. Then we can use our LinkedIn advertising options to put the event invitation or post the event to put our sound bites and our quotes and our video into the news feed of our clients. Now, there's different ways that you can use each of the LinkedIn advertising elements before, during, and after the event. So before the event, you can promote thought leadership, you can promote stats before the event through sponsored content. Or if it's a recurring series with a Q&A, then you can promote that through sponsored messaging. Pre the event, you can drive awareness of the event. You can invite people on a one-on-one basis using sponsored messaging or conversation ads. And what's really nice, so if you want to get all of your attendees and you want to add their details onto your CRM system, then you can attach a lead gen form to the actual content to capture their information. During the event, you can obviously use all of the organic features available with LinkedIn, so commenting, posting, sharing to drive engagement. And then post the event, using single image ads, you can share a follow-up, you can promote the content, you can send out post event surveys with conversation ads or with lead gen forms. And you can then also drive prospects to sign up for a free trial or a free benefit to get access to your content. So depending on what your event is, if it's a single event or part of a series, you can use all of these products to drive engagement. A last couple of best practices from our side. So before the event, make sure that you understand your audience. Everybody has got access. If you're a page, you have got access to the follower insights and follower demographics of your page. Go look at the seniority. Have a look at the job functions, the industries, the locations that your followers are in, and think about how you can customize your content to speak to those particular individuals. You can also go and you can promote your stream. So make sure that once you've created the event, you share this content through organic means on LinkedIn and also through your other marketing tools off the stream. And then make sure that you hashtag your stream the same way we've done today and the same way when we created our next event. Another pro tip is generally LinkedIn will start penalizing you after sort of five hashtags. So use 3 to 4 hashtags on whenever you do a post or whenever you do an event post. Try and keep 2 of them as broad as possible. So maybe think about the vertical that you're in or the theme that you're talking about, and then use 2 tags to speak to your particular interest. So it could be, in our case, virtual events May. Also make sure that you test your internet connection. We've seen this so many times, people dropping off or the quality not being great. Make sure that you have at least 10 megabits per second. Again, what I've said, get the right people in the room. So make sure that you have somebody who can present and somebody who handles the Q&A and the moderation time. Sam has just told me we've got 5 minutes to questions, which is really great. So I know that, there's somebody that's helping me drive the event. And then plan to stream for at least 15 minutes. So give yourself time to build up the audience before the event. During the event, be prepared, have a good grasp of the topic and the run of show. What we've done with some of our clients, we actually print out a little run of show event. And by the minute we say this person's going to start, then we go to this event, then we go to this poll, or then we go to this question. Be authentic as you can be. Try and be as human, speak to people in the same tone, make it very conversational, and then be flexible. If you do a live demo, I've been very lucky today, everything has worked, but it doesn't always work like that. So if something falls over, have a sense of humor and help people. And then during the event as well, make sure that you reshare. So share and post and comment to your network. Again, make sure that you mention the people that are in the room and the guests. You can even go in as somebody comments, and on Restream, for example, you can go and you can promote a particular comment. So let me show you what that would look like. So here we go. We're going to promote a post from one of our admins for the event, Dylan Jones, just talking about how you can go and you can answer questions, for example, but you can go and you can share anybody's comments from the event. And again, make sure that you moderate. And then after the event, repurpose the stream, make sure that you use the content that you've spent so much time putting together. And please, no pre-recorded videos. When somebody tunes into a live stream, they want that interactivity. Our very last tip before we go into Q&A is think about investing in some tools. If you're serious as a person or as a business in live streaming, think about investing in some quality tools. So if you're going to be using your phone for the broadcast, make sure that you've got a tripod or a gimbal that helps you keep your shooting stable. Make sure that you have enough natural light or enough light. And then think about getting an external microphone. So using earphones are absolutely fine. But I've definitely got some envy on Rylan and his sexy microphone. It really just helps in the quality of the production and helps elevate it to that next level. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to add from Restream, from StreamYard, I'm going to go and add Rylan and John back in so we can do a little bit of a Q&A.
Thanks, Marius. Thanks, Ryland. You guys rocked that one. This is great. When we're running live, there's always that fear that something's going to go wrong, and it didn't. So congratulations. Awesome work. What a pleasure to know that we can actually go and get hold of this material afterwards and repurpose it ourselves, or if anybody needs to go over another point, it's quite easy to just go back into that. I'm not the best technical person, so I'm going to have to spend a bit of time on the second half of the presentation when Marius has gone into the demo. So a lot of work there. First question that's the most popular coming up on Slido, guys, is there a cost to all of this? Ryland, do you want to answer that?
No, to run LinkedIn events, LinkedIn Live, no cost. The only thing, maybe if you want to promote the event, but this is organic for the most part, and yeah, really happy that we're able to turn this around. So no cost.
Yeah, sorry. The only cost there's one small hidden cost is the actual broadcasting tool. So again, StreamYard is the one we use. I think it costs like $20 or $25 a month. We will, after this event, we will share a list of broadcasting tools with you. Some of them are free, so that you don't have to use them. Some of them can get pretty expensive if you're running an actual broadcasting studio or you're an actual producer and you want to have multiple camera angles and all sorts of different things. But there are free costs for the broadcasting tool to the more expensive, but on the live and event side, no.
Excellent. Okay, so just on the point around just some of the tactics, Marius and Ryan, feel free to jump in here. Question from, this is from Sean. He's asking, from an audience interactive retention perspective, what virtual tactics can one include, such as videos, multi-speaker, polling, etc.? I think you covered a bit of that, Marius, but maybe just repeat some other elements there.
Yeah, so I mean, moderation is really, really important for these events. You want to make sure that your audience feels like they're part of the event itself. So as people comment, make sure that there's somebody who's helping you drive the event, saying welcome to the people, sharing the event details. It's the one thing we haven't done really great in this session, but try and break up the sessions into sort of 15 or 20-minute bites. After 15 or 20 minutes, have a 5-minute break, do a Q&A session. Make sure that when somebody asks a question like Sean, make sure that you actually engage with Sean and say, Sean, that's a really good question. This is the answer. And just use some polls as well to drive that interactivity. Ryan, I don't know anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think as well, as you say, multiple speakers, switch up the formats as well, maybe have a panel, whatever it might be. Just really think about, I think the most important thing though is making sure you're adding value, make sure that there's meaningful content that's going to make a difference to LinkedIn's members and your audience. I think that's the key thing. So just think about that. As you would be running any event in person, think about how you keep that interaction on a virtual event.
So authenticity, being genuine, is a point that keeps coming up. And we know that the workforce is going to be fully millennial in the next few years. They're looking for social leaders. So one of the questions is, how do I get executives to buy into embracing these kind of solutions? I don't know if you gents want to handle that, because I think that is a big question, to deal with all of these technical elements. We can't do the big conferences and the podium talks anymore right now. So how do I, as a marketer, get my executives to buy into this?
So I think it's a huge question and a great question, whoever asked that. But I think, I'm trying to avoid using the phrase new normal, but we've gone through so much transformation in the last 2-3 weeks, even. People are talking about 2 years of transformation in 2 weeks. And right now, the companies, I believe, that are going to go forward and succeed as they're facing this situation will be the ones that transform to this new environment. And that does require executives to do that. Now, what I would not recommend doing is going to an exec, saying, unless we do this, we're not going to survive as a business. That's not the way to do it. I would talk to them about the examples that other CEOs are showing. Just look at the ABSA CEO who's embracing this. I would also recommend you make this as easy as possible for them, because let's be honest, they're busy people. So you've got to make it really, really basic as best as you can. So work with, people like Turn Left or your agencies to make this super easy for them to do. And talk about them as well. They are representing the organization. And we see some amazing examples on LinkedIn of CEOs who are being thought leaders. And this is all a part of that for sure.
Thanks, Boris. Just running out of time. I'll hit you with the next one from Sunil. He's saying, if you're an admin, how do you stream different speakers who are in different locations due to the lockdown?
Hey, Sunil. Listen, thank you so much for joining us for this session. It's great to see you guys also engaging on live and events. It's very, very simple. It's the same way that we're doing now. So I'm in Johannesburg, John's in Cape Town, Ryland's sitting in London. Just make sure that you share an invitation and a briefing pack with your speakers beforehand. Just tell them the things they need to look out for in terms of video and lighting and actual set. So the things that are around you. Give them good proper brief, share an invitation like we've done now. And very important, we've seen this over the last couple of weeks, make sure that you do a test run with your speakers, either a day or two before or 30 minutes before the event, so that everybody can get comfortable with the elements that are happening.
Brilliant. I think there's time for maybe one or two more. The question around can we run from other platforms at the same time? I think, Maurice, you answered that earlier. We can, can't we?
Yeah. So you can run you can run from different broadcasting tools, and you can run 2 different elements as well. So as I said, we're streaming to 3 at the moment. If you use other tools like Restream, for example, then you can run up to like 20 different destinations at the same time.
And just a very common question is, yes, that means you can use Zoom as well to stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then just final point, how do we measure success? Are there benchmarks? Can we look at currently what's running out there to say this has been a good session or not? You mentioned analytics from a post perspective, but what does good look like at the end of the day if we look at the metrics?
Yeah, so there's different KPIs depending on what you'd like to measure. And it's very important establishing a benchmark, because it's very different for each business and each vertical. So as you start out on this journey, think about the amount of people that are on concurrently. Look at the commentary that you're receiving. Is it positive? Is it negative? How many people are dropping off? When are they dropping off? All of that information is available in the analytics. So try and see what data you've got that you can perhaps use. Ryan, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think again, make sure that you are, following up with your attendees afterwards and get feedback. Send a survey and find out. That's something you want to do as well. As you would with a physical event. The solutions are out there to do that. And again, I think consider where your event lies in the funnel. Look at what you're looking to achieve as an objective, whether that's to drive leads, drive conversions, drive meetings, whatever it might be. Consider that still, and then you can decide what's going to be the KPIs that you want to get at this event.
I don't think we had time to do a poll today, did we, Marius? But I think we'll send one in our company page afterwards. But gents, thanks for your time so much. Really appreciate it. There was a question again, can we get a hold of this material? Yes, it'll be on TurnF's company page, also through our other channels that we also promote. But please go to LinkedIn first and foremost. But Ryan, thanks for your time. Marius, thanks for your time, and Samantha in the background doing all the hard work on the broadcast side. Appreciate it, and look forward to our next events, folks. We'll be sending out some invites to that, so keep an eye on our company page. But have a wonderful Thursday, and remember, 1st of June cometh for those in South Africa. Level 3, let's bring it on.
Thank you, everybody.